Ow. What's up, everyone? Punchy back with Higurashi One Day Cry, Chapter 4, Hinamizawa. And we are back, and we just met one of my favorite characters, Rika-chan, for the first time in this chapter. She is young, she is our main character's ideal daughter, I guess, or his dream daughter, and the mayor's come to pick us up, and he's going to show us around, and we've decided to bring Rika-chan with us. It was decided that I could be a doting parent before my child was ever born. Well then, sir, I'll show you around some places that I think look nice. Have you eaten lunch yet? Yeah, I had a light meal at the hotel. Is that so? Well then, let's get going. We're setting off on a tour of Hinamizawa. Yay! Is it alright if I call you Rika-chan? Sure. My name is Rika Furude. I can already do addition in the tens digit. Oh, is that true? That's amazing. Oh, jeez. I don't count on my fingers. I can do it all in my head. The way she insisted upon that was just too cute. At some point, the nervousness I had about being alone in enemy territory had evaporated, like it was never there at all. I had to be at least a little thankful that I met this girl. Well then, let's get going. It's time for Hinamizawa nature watching. The old man stepped on the gas with a great deal of gusto. Oh, new background music. Wow, beautiful. I assume Akasaka is saying to the mayor. At first I wasn't sure if this was like some sort of calming music, but I'm enjoying it. Now, question is, after all this, I wonder, I guess Akasaka-san is getting a little, like, you know, he's getting a tour, he's getting everything, but I wonder, I guess not, there wouldn't be anything that he's talking to the mayor about, because the mayor and Rika should know about the, I guess, this started off like this is Akasaka's memory, right? I really hope that he gets back to his wife. But I was wondering how, like, the mayor and Rika, their relationship to the Onigafuchi Defense Alliance is, because we know that the Onigafuchi Defense Alliance is gonna have their headquarters in the Furude Shrine, right? Unless, yeah, I think that's what they said before in old chapters. The old man, who was apparently named Makino, was he up to the same Makino that was listed as the auditor of the Onigafuchi Defense Alliance? Well, I had forgotten that fact, and he told me right there his relationship with the alliances. Showed me around places that were all breathtaking. Even though I wasn't really here for sightseeing, I couldn't help but be impressed. First of all, this is different from the simple scenery of a city. The scenery of a charming village like this, no matter how mundane it seemed to the villagers, had a tranquil appeal to it. At first, I was only releasing the shutter as part of my tourist act, but midway through, I found myself taking pictures out of pure interest. Tourist traps had their own unique allure to them, but there was nothing like that here. I was especially captivated by the unspoiled nature of the place. Oh, he seems to really like it, although, I bet with things that have happened, he doesn't come back here. If there wasn't that whole uproar over the dam, I would want to bring Yuki with me here some other time. I wanted her to breathe in this fresh air, as well as show her this rejuvenating, verdant scenery. Is something like this that interesting? You're a strange person, Akasaka. No, these cylindrical mailboxes are rare nowadays. They have a certain nostalgic air about them. You would have to think they're elegant, would you? Is Hinamizawa fun? Yeah, it's fun. Once she's discharged from the hospital, I'd like to bring my wife here at least once. With the child that would born by that time. Right now she's in the hospital, waiting to give birth. She's due any day now. It'd be nice if they're a cute girl like you. Sir, it seems like congratulations are soon to be in order. Still, that's not good. To leave your wife behind and play around in a place like this. I was momentarily at a loss for words. It was exactly how Makino said. There was no good reason for a man who was waiting for his wife to give birth to be playing around idly in this place. Did I slip up? Well, we'd already planned this trip to Hinamizawa a long time ago. My wife's family is with her, so it's alright. If you had this planned so far in advance, then how come you didn't make the sign-up deal with the nature watching? If you did, you could have toured all around on a nice bus instead of being cramped up in here. It didn't seem as if Makino was actually digging for anything. But if this conversation continued any longer, it would put some unexpected holes in my cover. I halted the conversation by pretending to take another picture. Oh, that look on Rika's face. We know for a fact from the games that these kids are sharp, so I wouldn't be surprised if she knew if Akasaka had blown his cover with her. Well then, for our last stop, I'll take you to the place with the best view. It was slightly before evening. The sun was the sun was still burning brightly, but a cool breeze had begun to mix itself into the air. It seemed my exploration of Hinamizawa with Rika-chan was just about done. The place with the best view? Well, Rika-chama, where else could it be but the view from around the shrine? Hearing that, Rika-chan smiled even more. Well then, I'll introduce you to my home, Akasaka. Huh? By Rika-chan's home, you mean, huh? The shrine. Furude Shrine. There's an observation platform. You can see some real pretty scenery. Furude Shrine. The girl who called Furude Shrine her home, Rika. If I remember correctly, her full name was Rika Furude. And Furude was... that's right. One of the three families. Even if the Sonozaki family is said to hold all the actual power, it was still one of the old houses that held some authority. No, more important than that right now was Furude Shrine. If I remember correctly, Oishi had told me, within the grounds of the Furude Shrine, there were the offices of the Onikafuchi Defense Alliance. And since the land around Furude Shrine were private property, the police couldn't set foot there heedlessly. Furude Shrine, where even Oishi couldn't simply set foot into. The main base of operations for the Onikafuchi Defense Alliance. I had been given the unexpected opportunity to enter there. I couldn't have asked for more. I'm looking forward to it. Please, if you would. Well then, let's get there quick. The weather seems to be getting a little iffy. The sky had suddenly become overcast. It wouldn't be odd if it started raining soon. The cicadas, as if trying to finish their daily allotment of chirps before the evening, cried out even more fervently. Not a good sign. We know how much the Higurashi's cries actually mean something. It always shows up in the end, doesn't it? Like the last chapter, the distinct lack of the cries. Oh. The van stopped in the shrine's parking lot. Also parked there were numerous other vans with loud speakers, mounted on top of them to act as makeshift propaganda vehicles. On the side of each vehicle was scrawled, "The dam project must be demolished. Defend our homeland to the last. No Oyashiro-sama's anger." Or a slogan of a similar kind. They gave the feeling that even without using the loudspeakers, there was enough to overwhelm any onlookers. Vertical banners were erected in various places. The contents of those banners were similar. They were all objections against the dam, or crude insults towards the government. There were horizontal banners, placards, and so on and so forth. They proclaimed that without a doubt, this was the headquarters of the Onigafuchi Defense Alliance. For Rika-chan, however, this hectic place was also her home. "Oh, we've arrived. I'm home." Rika-chan crawled over my lap and exited the vehicle first. Mikino had noticed that I was looking at the protest banners. The shrine also has the offices of the anti-dam movement. For you, this probably brings back memories of the anti-security treaty conflicts back in the day. Student movements against government policies, movements that bordered on terrorist activity, were at one time commonplace, if only in order to garner global attention. Students holding out in lecture halls, brawling with the riot squads that charged in. It was an age where wasting one's youth like that was widely considered a road to glory. It was slightly before my time. I'm not really an activist or anything. I studied without incident and graduated without incident. I don't really agree with the violent occupation they use to protest the government's policies. Oh? You've quite a nice opinion there. If you have an opinion on a policy, vote for the candidate who shares your view, or enter the political world yourself and assert your beliefs in a lawful manner. That is the foundation of democracy. I don't think that's something you should challenge with violence. For a youngin', you have some fine beliefs. I saw the feeling of respect reflected in Makino's gaze. At that moment, something tugged at my sleeve. I have no idea what Akasaka is saying. Rika-chan, feeling like she was the only one who didn't understand the conversation, had a look of displeasure on her face. That expression was so charming, I had to keep myself from grinning like an idiot. It's often said that a father who wants to spoil his daughter rotten. I think I understand that feeling very well. Sorry, it was a little bit hard for Rika-chan to understand, wasn't it? Japan is a peaceful country, so you have to argue your point in a peaceful manner. You shouldn't resort to violence, in other words. No matter how much I explained, a girl who was just boasting about being able to carry digits over when adding things probably wouldn't understand. It probably wasn't something to talk about in front of Rika-chan anyway. So then, Akasaka, how do you think we should keep our village from being flooded by the dam? Even if I regretted my careless words, it was too late now. Here I was at the main headquarters of an organization, telling them their way of doing things was illegal. Preaching that violence was not the answer. A complicated feeling had mixed itself with the respect in Makino's gaze. It was then I finally realized it wasn't that simple. There wasn't a soul who would argue that what I was saying wasn't correct. Using violence to get one's way was something that everybody knew you shouldn't be proud of. However, right now, Hinamizawa was in a predicament that couldn't be overcome with peaceful means alone. The legality of the Hinamizawa Dam project, through the efforts of the various propaganda campaigns enacted by the Onigafuchi Defense Alliance, was being called into question. If they further strengthened their campaign, they might be able to suspend or change the construction plans, but that was at the most just a possibility. If the government proceeded with the construction as planned, it wouldn't be long before this place was at the bottom of the lake. If it wasn't for the unrestrained resistance of the residents of Hinamizawa, this place might already have been underwater. We can't live anywhere else other than here. We can't live in the city. The words of this remarkably young girl were all too accurate, carrying with him the screams of the hearts and minds of the residents of Hinamizawa. Of course, there's nothing I'd say to respond to that. I can only respond to Mikino and Rika-chan's heavy words with silence. I'm sorry. This isn't a problem outsiders should lightly just poke their nose into, is it? I apologize. Mikino, unsure of how to reply for a while, could only laugh pointlessly. It's something that concerns guests that make their home somewhere else. If you enjoyed here, please tell all your friends that Hinamizawa is a wonderful place, please. If word spreads to dozens, maybe even hundreds of people, then that ridiculous plan to submerge this place at the foot of a dam will eventually fall apart. He followed with a smile that said, please don't think much of it. Mikino, letting me not worry that much really was a stroke of good fortune. Becoming infatuated with the idea of making friends with a little girl had made me completely forget my apprehension at being in enemy territory. Being reminded of this right before I was going to step foot into their headquarters might have been a good thing. If we'd had this exchange in the middle of their office, if there was a short-tempered youth in there, they might have come at me. Thinking of how extreme they were, in the worst case, my life could have been in danger. It seemed I looked quite despondent at the moment. Mikino, thinking he had said something wrong, became flustered and trying to think of a way to improve my mood. I was a bit careless just now. I'm very sorry. No, don't worry that much about it. The sights you showed me around the village were all beautiful, wonderful places. I really do want to come here one more time. If this beautiful village is going to be submerged at the bottom of the lake, I can understand why you fight so desperately. I had somehow managed to use my despondent look to change the topic in my favor. After a bit, Mikino had returned to his usual high spirits. It seemed he believed I completely sympathized with his point of view. Now, let's leave the talk of that for now. There's a place around here with a really great view. Let's go, Akasaka. Rika-chan, seemingly happy to be free from all the boring and gloomy adult talk, bounded up the stone steps. There's no real need to run, but in order to catch up with her, I also darted up the steps. There were several tents belonging to the town council erected on the shrine grounds. Inside the tents were several folding tables and chairs, and a number of the older town council members were livening things up with chit-chat. They weren't saying anything incendiary like, the dam project must be destroyed. It was just some relaxed, idle chit-chat between local geezers. The normal sort of calming scenery. At the entrance of the shed that looked like the meeting place, there was a large sign erected with Onigafuchi Defense Alliance headquarters written in bold brushstrokes. That was their base of operations. To be honest, it was a bit of a letdown. If you asked what I had been imagining, this is a bit embarrassing, but I'd have thought it would be something much more dramatic, with barbed wire fences and barricades. My first impression of the place, though, was completely different from that. It looked like a simple backwater town hall. It didn't look anything like anything other than exactly that. The old folks who were chatting had noticed Rika-chan's presence. Well, isn't it Rika-chama? It's time for little kids to head on home. This is my home. The old folks guffawed, since she wasn't wrong. From that exchange, I could tell that this Rika Furuta girl was loved by everybody. Mikino-san, who's that? The tourist who phoned? That's right. Why did I call my guide Kimiyoshi? This is the mayor of Hinamizawa, Mayor Kimiyoshi. He smiled brightly, but there was no mistaking he would be scary if he got angry. By the looks of things, this old man was the president of the Onigafuchi Defense Alliance, none other than Kiichiro Kimiyoshi himself. Welcome to Hinamizawa. What do you think? It's quiet. It's a quiet and relaxing place, isn't it? Yeah. I was able to appreciate a multitude of beautiful places throughout the whole day. I'm thankful for being granted this rare opportunity. Even though you're one of those youngins, you're quite the gentleman. Kichiro, I want to show Akasaka a cool place. Thinking that the formalities between myself and the mayor had gone on for too long, Rika-chan butted into the conversation. For her to call the mayor by his first name, I felt it was a little strange, but none of the villagers seemed to mind. A girl of the Furude household, one of the 3 families, she was probably different than the average villager. Akasaka, over here. Rika tugged at my sleeve. Not resisting, I allowed myself to be pulled over. And waiting for me was a magnificent view. I know that view. This is amazing. It was an observation deck that looked down on the village. They, knowing that this was the best view in the entire village, kept quiet as I stood there, awestruck. I was holding a camera, but had completely forgotten to even glance through the viewfinder. This view, no matter what kind of film it was printed on, it wouldn't be able to show everything. If there was a way to explain it, it would only be what I would be able to put into words. It was just such a breathtakingly spectacular view that struggled to find a comparison. For a while, I was left awestruck. I could only stand there and wonder. A cool breeze helped abate the heat rushing through my body. That comfortable sensation also left me speechless. Rika-chan, who had been holding onto my sleeve this entire time, spoke. This is my favorite spot. As she said that, she showed me another adorable smile. That smile seemed very fleeting. If you ask why, that was because the view from our favorite spot would eventually be submerged under the deep green waters of the dam reservoir. I just can't believe that this village is going to end up at the bottom of a lake. I said it quietly so that only Rika-chan could hear it. I regretted it as soon as I did, for those words were all too cruel. However, Rika-chan didn't let them cast a cloud on her expression. In fact, she replied with a smile. It won't sink. The dam project will definitely go away. It was just like a little girl to say something like that. There was no basis for her to say so. So, it was just her wish. Akasaka, do you think this village will be submerged? It's not that I want it to be. I knew how important the dam was. I knew it was necessary. I just didn't want to recognize the sacrifices that would be made. I agreed with the project in general, but couldn't agree with some of the details. But if it meant that this girl's beloved scenery wouldn't be taken away from her, I might be able to object to the dam. I might be able to ignore the interests of the nation, the development of Japan, all for the sake of one girl's smile. I'm not really much of a humanist, but how sentimental of me. It won't be submerged, because the dam project will soon go away. Her words weren't just hopes and dreams, but were seasoned with a hint of resolve. As if she was talking about an unchangeably predetermined outcome. As surely as the sun rising in the east. It'll be gone soon? Wanting to ask her why she believed that, I turned around. Yes, it'll be gone. What makes you say that? Well, you see... She seemed to want to answer, but as though unable to find the right words, she swallowed back what she was about to say. Regardless of what Akasaka does, the dam project will end this year. It's already been decided. That was a lie. If something like that had already been decided, then the Onigafuchi Defense Alliance would have no reason to continue existing. From my point of view, it was like they were doing nothing more than throwing themselves into an endless battle. If they knew the dam project was cancelled, you'd feel much more relaxed around here. This village, though, could hardly be called relaxed. For evidence of that, I just had to remember how charged the atmosphere was at the checkpoint, or at the bus stop. The villagers, with their misplaced resolve, were still fighting. And this girl, even knowing the villagers' grim resolve, had already declared their victory. The villagers throwing themselves into this endless war, and this optimistic girl who said they had already won. That contrast was somehow strange. Why do you think that? If you know something that makes you that confident, could you tell me? Rika-chan stayed silent for a while, seemingly choosing what to say. Because she looked like she was lost on whether she should continue or not. As if she was troubled on whether it was okay for her to say it. That kind of expression. It's already been decided. There's no other way to say it. It's already been decided, huh? It really is just like a little girl to say something like that. I couldn't believe it was actually true. She was the only one saying such things with such confidence. My real mission, that I'd forgotten about during this fun-filled day, resurfaced at the back of my mind. The kidnapping of the minister's grandson. Had the Onigafuchi Defense Alliance kidnapped the minister's grandson and already succeeded in negotiating the cancellation of the dam project? Did Kimiyoshi actually already know that and was just playing dumb? Was that what this girl was really telling me? Akasaka. The girl called out my name suddenly. What is it? Go back to Tokyo. Huh? I was only surprised at that sudden command. Ever since I came to this village, I had never once mentioned I was from Tokyo. Well, based on my accent, she might have been able to guess where I was from. What was I getting so worked up over? It was probably the sudden and complete change in her demeanor. And with her change, we are going to end there, but I'm just going to roll on. Akasaka had his fun-filled day, but as everything in Hinamizawa, all the happy things come to an end at some point with the creepy music. Thanks for watching, guys. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in a little bit. Bye-bye.